Hello everyone, and welcome back to 0-Bit. Today, if you couldn't tell by the thumbnail, I'm going to be drawing the Danganronpa 10th anniversary art in my own style. So let's start with talking about my techniques in the line art. I really want to be able to recognize these characters without having to have color everywhere. Basically, I want their expression to be right, their outfits to be right, and, well, basically everything else. A lot of details may not be noticeable from this way that I'm drawing. A lot of the really tiny details like Sayaka's flowers here and some things in her hair probably aren't noticeable in the recording. So sorry if it seems like there's some downtime here. Another important thing here was to make sure that proportions were right. And while my style's proportions are not Danganronpa's, I still want them to be similar to each other proportion-wise. So occasionally you might see me enlarging a character's head or shrinking it down, something like that. And already here I was very happy with these characters. I was able to tell each of them apart here, and their face expressions matched up with the original art very, very well. In this case of drawing, I went game by game, and a lot of characters were overlapping. In fact, I almost forgot poor Chihiro here. Initially, in my sketching phase, I did the same thing that I did here for my line art, which was draw all the characters on different layers, but on each layer no character was overlapping. And then from there, I worked out, everything that is overlapping and erased sections, added more. And then I got, not overlapping characters, I guess? I don't know how to describe this. Something to mention here is that you really need to pay very close attention to, basically every character is overlapping, as I mentioned before. In this case, I had to go back during my color stage and erase some lines that I saw were overlapping. The details are very, very small, so it's really difficult sometimes to actually be able to tell if, this line belongs to this character or that character, which is why the separate layers really, really help. I also should put a spoiler warning for Danganronpa in the comments at least, even though I'm making this video, I don't really have a lot of commenters, but a lot of Danganronpa fans will probably see this video eventually, hopefully. So I just want to say, please warn people about spoilers if you're going to comment something in spoilers. I'm not going to say anything that will spoil the game, but you might in the comments, so please put a warning or just don't spoil anything. Alright, coloring. Coloring is probably one of the most interesting parts to watch, in my personal opinion. And I had to reference back to the original art several times here. I had to switch screens a lot, basically is what I was saying. So I had to edit out a lot of scenes where I basically just wasn't doing anything, and for some reason it was still recording. Color is what really makes each character different from one another. And in this case, I wanted to simplify their eyes. I didn't want something too complicated, considering that you won't be able to see a lot of the details in the irises. So I just added a simple gradient in their eyes. And I also shaded each character as I colored them in. I added like redness to their face to make it seem more alive, and I added a lot of highlights to their hair and some of the shinier parts of their clothes. And I used hard shading and soft shading so that it could almost look like a painting. Each character has a very unique coloring and very unique outfits, and a lot of these details, like I'm doing on Hyoko's kimono here, was done on a completely separate layer. And that was just so things like gradients, like on Chiaki and Kyoko's dresses, that I could actually add these gradients without messing up the coloring at all. A few things were also added here, like the pattern on Shuichi's, I guess, inner coat, I don't know what that's really called, and Kokichi's little scarf thing. And a lot of things were also done on Himiko's skirt, since she's wearing a transparent skirt over her other one that she's wearing beneath that. At first I was just jumping around and picking random characters to color, but then I thought it'd probably be a better idea for me to go row by row, which is what you see me doing here now. It seems like there's a platform in the background if you actually look at the original art, so I added it, and I'm not really sure if Kibo's actually behind it in the original art, but for this one we'll just say he is. Most of this coloring was done without a filler tool at all. The lines were so small here that I actually had to trace around those lines and fill them in, and it's honestly probably just a better way in general to color, because sometimes if you just use a filler tool, some random stuff will happen that you did not intend for it to happen. In this case, I did a separate way of shading for their glasses. In this case, I used just a white transparent cover for the glasses, and then went onto my original line art and then just drew in some white reflecting lines. It just really makes more pop, it just makes it pop out more, I guess is a good way to put that. Another thing you could comment is who is your favorite character. It could be whether you watch Danganronpa or not. I would just, who's your favorite character from this art, or who's your favorite character in general? Comment that down below. Some of these characters had a lot of detail that took a very long time, like Angie's outfit and Mondo's outfit, and to an extent Hyoko's outfit. It just took a while because there's so much detail here, like the flowers on Hyoko's kimono, or just Hanji's overall design itself. A lot of these characters are a lot more simpler, like basically all the people in the front row, excluding Hyoko and probably Himiko, had pretty simple outfits and designs, especially Hikaru and Hajime. A few characters, the expressions, their original expressions, I changed just because they didn't look so good in my style, or I just couldn't make them look good in my style, so I changed some of their expressions as well. shading is something that took a lot of fine-tuning to make it look right. And while I was shading, this is where I also realized that some of the lines were overlapping, so I had to go back a few times and erase them. But it's really tedious work to shade things like the ruffles here on Juko's outfit, because I wanted them to actually look more poofy, I guess. Or I want to make them look overlapping, like by the shading, I mean. I don't really know how to explain it. And you might be asking why I added Mukuro here, and I only added her because I honestly don't know why she wasn't in this art in the first place. So I will link down below the art that I based Mukuro off of here. Another good way I could tell if the shading was really good was if I could get rid of the color and it still looks like they're shaded correctly. The last row probably took the least amount of time, obviously, considering that a lot of them are just heads, since, you know, they're blocked by other characters. And here we go. We're, well, almost done with the coloring. Okay, here we go. So, here is the final product. Thank you for watching, and like and subscribe if you want to see more. Bye!